Hello, dear friends. Welcome to another session of Twinmotion training course. I'm Sajid Montazeri, and we will continue with the topics from the previous sessions. So we are going to have an exciting session. Let's get started. We've worked on the gravity option together. The next option is move with collision. This option allows you to move objects while considering their collisions with other objects. To explain this option better, let me take a step back and work on the move tool first. If I select one of these objects, if it gives us a gizmo on that object that we can use, and these three tools have shortcuts 7, 8, and 9. If I want to immediately enter the move tool, I must press 7, 8 will rotate it, and 9 will scale it. For now, we are working with option 7, and we want to move it here. So try to use these shortcuts. If I move it freely, Twinmotion allows this, but if I want it to move only along the X, Y, or Z axis, I just need to hover my mouse over the relevant axis and click and drag. Right now, I'm moving it along the blue axis, which is the Z axis. Or I bring my mouse over the red axis, the X axis, and I'm moving it in this direction. And I can do the same along the green axis too. When the axis is highlighted, I can click and drag to perform the move operation. If you click and drag on the plane indicator, the corner squares, it will move along the XY plane. If you click on the center ball, it moves freely and it snaps to any surface you have. Detecting the surfaces, you can place it easily. Now, assume I want to move this along the green axis into this specific shape. You see it passes through this window very easily. It doesn't care that this is glass and it shouldn't pass through. If you want to fix this, just click on the move with collision option. It now detects collisions. Now, if you click and drag, you see you no longer have that absolute freedom. You can't easily move your object inside that uh, part. It gets stuck on that glass. As you can see, so sometimes we need to activate this option and sometimes it needs to be deactivated. If I deactivate it, it ignores collision and go pass through any surface easily. So that covers those two options on the right. The next option we want to talk about is pivot edit. When I activate this option, it shows us the pivot or gizmo on the object and it becomes editable. I can place it here, for example. What is this useful for? The pivot point is the spot around which you can easily copy object. That is one of its main uses. Assume I have changed its pivot position. Now I switch to rotate. This option allows you to rotate objects along the three axes. Now I just need to hold shift and click and drag on the blue axis. I can specify the number here. For example, every 6 degrees, make 10 copies of this object for me. Now, if I hit copy, it performed the copy operation exactly around this point. If you want the pivot to return to its original location, just click on the three dots, select reset pivot position. It returns to its default state, and you see it is set back on the object. These options in the three dot menu relate to different pivot states. If I rotate this object, you see pivot doesn't rotate with it. I can click here. If I select align to word and the pivot is rotated, it makes it parallel to the global axis. If I select center pivot to bottom, it places the pivot exactly at the lowest point of the object. If I select center pivot, it places it exactly at the geometric center, length, width, and height. Reset pivot rotation returns to the rotation to retains the rotation to default if it was changed. Reset pivot position, which we explained, returns to retains it to the initial default position. And reset pivot restores everything scale rotation position to the initial state if they were changed. Now, if I rotate this object and want the pivot to rotate as well, so I can use this axis locally, I just need to click this icon that looks like a globe. You see now the pivot is rotating. This is very useful. Sometimes my goal is to move these chairs perpendicular to their main axis. So here I zoom in so you understand better. I want to copy it exactly parallel to itself along this line here. It is necessary for the pivot to be rotated with the object. And now I can very easily hold shift, click and drag here and make copies. For example, I say copy four of them. Sometimes this movement is what I want, Control plus Z here. Other times I want this to happen along the global X, Y, and Z axis. In such cases, you just need to click this global icon again, so it returns to its initial state and become parallel to the word axis. Now, if you perform the copy operation, I don't want to rotate here, I want to move and click and drag. You see the method and direction of copy is completely different in this mode. Control Z, so I can activate this option again. Move this here a bit, move this here, maybe take it up a bit. And whenever I need to, I can use these options to perform a reset so everything returns to its initial state. So those are the settings related to these two options regarding the pivot and gizmos on objects in Twinmotion software. I hope you've enjoyed this session. Thank you so much. We will see each other next session. Goodbye.